It's payday. You wake up, maybe a little earlier than usual. You grab your phone, open your banking app, and there it is, that number, bigger than it's been all month. For a brief moment, everything feels lighter. Like, okay, I'm good now. I can breathe. And then, almost immediately, your brain starts doing this thing. You start mentally spending it. Okay, rent's due, that's gone. Groceries, yeah. Oh, and I've been meaning to upgrade my phone, and honestly, I deserve something nice this month, right? And just like that, the money already feels smaller. Not because you've spent it yet, but because you've already decided where it's going. And it's funny, right? Because you could have two people, same paycheck, same city, same cost of living, and somehow one of them feels like they're constantly behind, constantly catching up, constantly stressed. And the other? Calm, in control, even relaxed. How does that happen? Like, what are they doing differently on the exact same day? I've spent way too much time thinking about this, like more than a normal person probably should, just trying to understand why payday feels like relief for some people and pressure for others. And here's the weird part. Most people think the difference is income. It's not. It's what happens in the first 24 hours after that money hits your account. And honestly, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So here's the first thing most people get completely backwards. They treat payday like a reward. Like, I made it through the month, I worked hard, I deserve this. And look, I get it, that feeling is real. There's something deeply human about wanting to celebrate survival. But here's the problem. When you treat payday like a reward, you start spending emotionally, not strategically. Let me paint a picture. There's someone, let's call him Ollie. Ollie gets paid, and within a few hours, he's already ordered food, maybe bought a couple things online, maybe even made plans to go out that weekend. Nothing crazy, nothing irresponsible on the surface, but it's all driven by this quiet thought. I finally have money again. Now, compare that to someone else. Same paycheck, same day. They open their banking app, and instead of thinking, what can I buy? They think, where does this need to go? It's a completely different mindset. One sees money as temporary freedom, the other sees it as a tool with a job. And honestly, that tiny shift changes everything. Because payday isn't the finish line. It's the starting point of your next financial cycle. If you treat it like a celebration, you'll spend it. If you treat it like a system, you'll grow it. And yeah, that sounds a little boring, right? But boring is exactly what builds stability. Takeaway. The moment you get paid, pause. Don't spend anything for at least a few hours. Let the emotional high settle. Give your logical brain a chance to catch up. Okay, here's something weird. Most people don't consciously decide how they spend their money. They follow a script, like an invisible checklist that just runs in the background. Rent, bills, food, small upgrades, random treats. Repeat. And if there's anything left at the end, maybe savings. Maybe. But here's the catch. That script was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to keep you comfortable. And comfort, while nice, is expensive. Let me explain. Imagine two people again. One of them spends based on what feels normal. Same type of apartment, same kind of phone upgrades, same weekend habits as their friends. The other one, slightly uncomfortable choices, slightly cheaper rent, delays upgrades, says no sometimes. Nothing extreme, just intentional. Over time, those tiny differences compound like crazy. But on payday, they look almost identical. That's the trap. Because you don't feel the difference immediately. You feel it months later, years later, when one person has options and the other has obligations. Why it matters? If you don't consciously design your spending, you'll default to whatever your environment tells you is normal, and normal is usually broke. Action step. Next payday, write down exactly where your money usually goes. Not where you want it to go, where it actually goes. That's your script. Now you can start rewriting it. This one messes people up for years. The idea that you save whatever is left at the end of the month. Sounds reasonable, right? Like, I'll handle my responsibilities first and then I'll save what I can. But here's the uncomfortable truth. There is almost never anything left, because spending expands to fill whatever space you give it. It's like if you pour water into a glass, it fills the glass. If you pour it into a bucket, it fills the bucket. Your expenses do the same thing. So if your system is income, spend, then save, you've already lost. Now compare that to income, save, then spend what's left. That tiny flip is the difference between being stuck and moving forward. And yeah, I know what you're thinking, but what if I don't have enough to save? Start small, even something almost laughably small, because it's not about the amount. It's about building the identity of someone who saves first. That identity compounds faster than money ever could. Quick story. I once knew someone who started saving the equivalent of like a couple dollars per paycheck. That's it. At first, it felt pointless, but after a few months, something shifted. They stopped seeing themselves as someone trying to save. They became someone who saves, and that changed every financial decision they made after that. Takeaway: don't wait for leftovers. Create them. Here's something subtle but powerful. Broke thinking focuses on this payday. Wealthy thinking focuses on the next 10. Let me explain. If you're only thinking about your current paycheck, your decisions are short-term. What do I need right now? What do I want right now? But if you zoom out, what does my life look like 3 months from now? 6 months? A year? Your behavior starts to change, because suddenly every dollar has a ripple effect. It's like playing chess instead of checkers. You're not just reacting, you're positioning. And honestly, most people never make this shift. They stay stuck in survival mode, even when they're earning enough to move beyond it. Not because they're bad with money, but because they've never been taught to think ahead. Why this matters? Your future isn't built in one big decision. It's built in hundreds of small ones made consistently over time. And payday is where those decisions start. Actionable idea. Next time you get paid, ask yourself one question. What does this money need to do for future me? Not just present you, future you. That version of you deserves a say in how this money is used.
All right, let's get a little real for a second. Money isn't just numbers. It's emotions, stress, relief, guilt, excitement. And payday, it amplifies all of them. Some people spend because they're happy. Others spend because they're tired. Some spend because they feel behind. Others because they finally feel ahead for a moment. And here's the tricky part. If you don't understand your emotional patterns, you'll keep repeating them. Like, have you ever bought something and immediately thought, why did I do that? Yeah, that's not a math problem. That's an emotional loop. Small reflection. Notice how you feel right after you get paid. Do you feel pressure to fix everything at once? Do you feel the urge to reward yourself? Do you feel anxious about upcoming expenses? Those feelings drive your decisions more than logic does. Why it matters. If you can't control the emotional side of money, you'll never fully control the practical side. Simple tip. Delay big purchases by 24 hours after payday. Just 24. It creates space between emotion and action, and that space is where better decisions live. This one is sneaky. You get a raise, or a better job, or just more income over time, and naturally your lifestyle starts to upgrade. Better food, better clothes, better experiences. And again, nothing wrong with that. But here's the problem. If your expenses grow at the same rate as your income, you stay in the same place. You just live a more expensive version of the same life. And payday still feels tight, still feels temporary, still feels like it disappears too fast. That's lifestyle inflation. And it's one of the biggest reasons people feel stuck even as they earn more. Example, someone goes from making $50K to $70K. Instead of saving the extra 20K, they upgrade everything. Now they need 70K to maintain their life, and they feel just as broke as before. Why it matters. Income alone doesn't create wealth. The gap between income and expenses does. Action step. Every time your income increases, lock a percentage of that increase into savings or investments, even 30 to 50%. You'll still feel the upgrade, but you'll also build momentum. At the end of the day, this whole thing comes down to one feeling: control. When people feel broke, it's not always because they have no money. It's because they don't feel in control of it. Money comes in, and then it just goes. Bills, expenses, random stuff. And they're left wondering where it all went. That's chaos. Now compare that to someone who knows exactly where their money is going before it arrives. They've already assigned it, already planned it, already decided. That's control. And control creates calm, even if the numbers aren't huge. Personal observation. I've seen people with modest incomes feel completely at peace, and others with high incomes feel constant anxiety. The difference? Not the amount, the clarity. Takeaway. You don't need more money to feel better. You need more control over the money you already have.
So let's bring this back to that moment. You wake up. It's payday. You open your phone and you see that number. For a split second, it feels like everything is okay. And honestly, that feeling matters. It's not wrong to feel relief. It's not wrong to feel excited. But what you do next, that's where everything changes. Because most people will follow the same pattern they always have. Spend first, think later. React instead of plan. Comfort over intention. And slowly, quietly, they stay in the same place. But you don't have to. You can pause, just for a moment. You can look at that number and think, what's the smartest thing I can do with this? Not the easiest, not the most fun, the smartest. And no, that doesn't mean never enjoying your money. It just means giving it direction before it disappears. Because payday isn't about how much you earn, it's about how you think, how you decide, how you act in those first few hours. That's where the real difference lives. And the best part? You don't need a higher income to start doing this. You just need awareness, a little patience, and the willingness to do something slightly different next time. So the next time payday comes around, and it will, just notice yourself. Notice your instincts. Notice your habits. And maybe, just maybe, choose differently. Not perfectly, just better. And over time, that's more than enough. And here's the thing people don't really say out loud. Change in this area feels almost underwhelming at first. There's no big dramatic moment where your life suddenly flips overnight. It's quieter than that. You make one slightly better decision on one ordinary payday, and nothing spectacular happens. But then you do it again next time, and again. And somewhere along the way, without even realizing it, that constant background stress starts to fade. You stop dreading your bank balance. You stop feeling like money is slipping through your fingers. It's subtle, almost invisible, but it's real. And yeah, you'll still mess up sometimes. You'll have months where things don't go to plan, where unexpected expenses hit, or you just give in and spend more than you meant to. That doesn't undo everything. That's just part of being human. The difference is now you notice it, you understand it, and instead of spiraling or ignoring it, you reset. You come back to the system. You come back to that moment on payday where you decide, all right, let's try this again. Just a little better this time. Because in the end, being rich or broke on payday isn't really about the number that hits your account, it's about what that moment turns you into. Reactive or intentional. Temporary relief or long-term stability. And once you start seeing payday not as an escape, but as an opportunity, honestly, everything starts to shift. Not all at once, not perfectly, but steadily, in a way that actually lasts.